When I thawed this channel of mine out of cryogenic sleep 3 years ago and decided to give YouTube a proper go, it coincided with the release of a brand new app called Luminar Neo by the Ukrainian developers Skylum. I say brand new, but Neo was of course basically an updated and slightly redesigned version of Luminar AI that we all had to pay again for. And after an aggressive update process that's seen an abundance of primarily AI tools added between 2022 and now, Skylum are embracing cross-device editing with the new Luminar ecosystem in an attempt perhaps to reset the public perception of this app. But has Luminar really changed? Or is this just a new coat of paint on a flawed foundation? Is it a proper Lightroom alternative now? Or a half-assed knockoff with more gimmicks than the $600 Dyson brand toilet brush? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Yes, legends, today we're looking at the autumn/fall release of Luminar Neo. I've covered this app in great detail in prior reviews, the most recent of which from this time last year I will link to up here. Instead of repeating myself, I'll be mainly concentrating on the new stuff, but we will of course check in on those core features. As always, I am not a member of Skylum's affiliate scheme or indeed any affiliate scheme. And this video is not sponsored by anyone other than my long-suffering wife. And now, in a time-honoured fashion and for the benefit of the habitual timeline clickers among you, here is the TLDR. Luminar remains a schizophrenic app, equal parts genius and trash, a weird amalgam of horrendous novelty greeting card grade AI effects and decent post-processing tools. The main raw engine is fast and efficient with a nicely tuned parametric curve on the core sliders that precisely targets shadow, highlights, whites, blacks, exposures and saturation. Masking remains a colossal letdown with AI masks that respect edge boundaries about as well as a 2-year-old with a monster crayon, and traditional masks such as colour and luminosity that are far too primitive to be of any real-world use. The oldest AI tools, Enhance and Structure, are still handy for quick fixes, but like most things in this app, push them too far and your photos go from natural to migraine in seconds. Asset management is good with a fast, fully database-driven design that stores thumbnails, metadata, flags, and your edit history. It has a simple but useful smart folder feature, a primitive AI search tool, a new Spaces sharing tool that enables you to quickly and easily upload a selection of photos to an online gallery. Panoramic stitching and HDR merge have improved massively in this release, and even the AI upscale produces better results now, although, let's be real here, it could hardly have got any worse. The trio of AI gen tools, Erase, Swap and Expand, remain resolutely shite, outputting blurry low-resolution infill generative pixels with edge boundaries so obvious they look like a photo frame. All that being said, Skylum are at least pushing Luminar in the right direction, but at $189 for a cross-platform perpetual license, good for just 1 year of updates, it's a hard sell for a Lightroom Lite, especially when Adobe will charge you just $2 more for the real thing. So those are the bullet points. Here are the details. I've always liked the interface that Skylum built for Luminar Neo. Yes, it's in that traditional photo editor ultra dark green baby poop colour, but it's a genuinely well-designed interface with a thoughtful layout and a nicely colour-coded icon system. Navigating thumbnails in the main catalogue view is fast and lag-free, and a thoughtful traditional file tree and filtering system enables you to quickly find your photographs. As is traditional in my Luminar reviews, I went hunting in the Asset Manager for some kind of keyword facility, either manual or AI, and came up empty-handed again. It's a simple piece of metadata, and I find it bizarre that it's not supported in any way, particularly since this app is database-driven. The new Space upload is simple, quick, and useful. Just select some files, right-click and select Publish to Space. The online gallery won't win any design awards, but it's a simple and utilitarian design that enables you to quickly share a set of photos in a Flickr-style carousel format. And just for once, it's not an upsell, but included with your perpetual annual one-off yearly single recurring payments. Skylum seem to go out of their way to discourage users of the software from using the raw editing tools in the Develop module, which is a shame because they're actually pretty good. It is not the most comprehensive toolset you'll find in a raw editor, certainly not in comparison to something like Lightroom or Photolab, but there's everything you need here to get the job done. More importantly, those sliders are extremely responsive, and you won't experience any lag as you try and dial in the shadows and highlights. Furthermore, those sliders are really nicely dialed in with highlights precisely targeted and with a lovely roll-off on the curve, ditto with shadows. The app has wide-ranging support for a growing list of cameras, including recent models like the OM3 and the Z5 Mark II, and yes, there's support for iPhone Pro RAW. There's also claimed support for a wide range of lenses, but I always have to manually tick the automatic options in the Optics tab, no matter which camera RAW photo I open. You can customize the editing screen by right-clicking on any tool and selecting Add to Favorites, which positions that tool in a special section at the top of the Develop window. I suggest using this to pick out the genuinely useful tools and then minimizing the rest in case you accidentally add neon glow or a fake stormy sky to your photo. Local edits are far and away the best way of finessing your photographs, and central to that process is an effective masking system. And unfortunately, masking remains one of Luminar Neo's weak points. The app's had a granular AI masking tool for longer than Lightroom, but it has two core issues. Firstly, they're so inaccurate they look like you spilled some red wine, and secondly, they're stupidly hard to finesse. Masks are obviously all about the edges, not the centers, and if the edges suck, as they consistently do with Luminar, then the mask's bloody useless. There's no obvious add, subtract, or intersect, though you can actually layer multiple masks in the same module and paint in or erase parts of the AI-generated masks with the brush tool. But it's all stupidly fiddly and unintuitive, and really not something you'd want to use on anything other than an emergency basis. It's not all bad news for this update, however, because there have been definite improvements in both the panorama stitching tool and the HDR merge. The biggest improvement has been in the pano stitcher. I retested this on a couple of the same aerial panos I used for last year's review, and it did a near-perfect job with just a small glitch on the horizon. Surprised by these results, I then decided to put it to a real test. I had an 8-shot pano I took of the Aurora, and which Lightroom, Photoshop, PTGUI, and Hugin had all failed to successfully stitch. And to my fucking surprise, Luminar successfully stitched the pano without any issues at all and with great edge blending between the frames to boot. Skylum made sure not to get my hopes up too high, however, when it failed to stitch a 21-shot sunset aerial pano, which Lightroom and PTGUI had no problems with. But still, it's great progress and a huge improvement on the shite iteration they included in last year's app. The HDR merge is greatly improved too, with excellent alignment and ghost reduction now evident in my test blends. For some reason, Skylum split the larger generative tools between the catalog and the edit screen. You get the AI denoise and sharpen tools in the edit tab, but you'll have to flick back to the thumbnail catalog screen for upscale, generative fill, expand, and erase. It's a weird workflow, and it would make far more sense to have those tools all in the edit screen and keep the catalogue just for asset management. If you're considering buying Luminar Neo for its generative tools, then let me save you from any disappointment. They're fucking useless, all of them. I realise that an independent developer in war-torn Ukraine does not have the same resources as a global corporation like Adobe, but Generative, Swap and Expand are so bad that you have to question who signed off on this stuff. The least worst of the three is the Erase tool, because you sometimes end up with something that looks vaguely okay when viewed on a screen positioned across the street, but the results aren't something you'd ever show in public. Gen Swap includes a prompt box, so you can describe what you want your chosen masked area to be replaced with. But you may as well type in the washing machine care label on your sweatshirt or the chef special section of a Chinese takeaway menu for all the good it'll do you. And Gen Expand promises to enlarge your photo's proportions by in-painting a region under an expanded crop area, but the AI couldn't give a shit about matching subject color or light, and instead of inserting similar-looking pixels, opts for what might as well be a Paleolithic cave drawing for all the sophistication and nuance of the end results. Collectively, the three Gen tools seem barely better than DALL-E and the first wave of generative tools from 4 bloody years ago. They're hilariously, embarrassingly bad, and they have been ever since they were added to this app. Now, I mentioned at the start of this review that Luminar is a schizophrenic app, and the brand new restoration tool is evidence of that because it's decent enough, as long as you don't object to some fanciful AI embellishments on your old photo. I tested it on a heap of buggered old photographs, and it did an okay job of removing scratches, water damage, creases, spots and half-tone patterns, and of colorizing black and white or sepia photos. It made the occasional error, mistaking some bit of photo damage for the part of someone's face, but it produced consistently decent results. I did compare the restores against Etty Image Generator for Photoshop that I recently reviewed, and Etty did a far superior job, particularly in terms of colours. Luminar seems to make everything a shade of brown. The denoise and sharpen tools are located in the main editing section of the app, and I didn't hold out much hope for these having been improved, but they have actually got a bit better. Not massively, but there's been a definite uptick in quality for both noiseless AI and super sharp AI. They're still a long way off the quality of results you'll get in either Lightroom or Photolab, but at least you don't end up with the comedic deformities that Topaz Photo AI inflicts on images. Processed and resized to web-friendly resolutions, you could even get away with using those denoise and sharpened images on a website, but not for print, because as soon as you zoom in, the processing becomes all too apparent. The upscale tool is marginally better now as well, but it's still outputting average results, particularly in comparison to models such as Crystal Upscaler, and the built-in face enhancement tool is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. There's also a new light depth tool, which is the least cheesy thing Skylab have added to this app in a long time. It does a good job of creating a 3D depth map of a photograph and of enabling you to add a light source at any point on the Z-axis from the front to the back of a photo. Used on portraits, you can create some surprisingly professional-looking lighting tweaks. I've said in a few of my recent videos that we, the photographic and wider creative community, are being badly let down by software companies these days. There is a big gap in the market at the moment for a cheaper or just subscription-free alternative to apps such as those rented out by Adobe in the Creative Cloud suite. However, Adobe have set that bar high. Lightroom 2026, for instance, is an extremely capable and fully featured app, and nobody, not Capture One, not DxO, not On1, and certainly not Skylab, have fully replicated its secret sauce. There are two big problems with Luminar Neo and its potential status as a viable alternative to Lightroom: price and extended features. In terms of pricing, this is not a cheap app. Here in Australia, the cross-device edition is $189 Australian dollars, laughably marked down from $681. I say laughably because Skylum's pricing page is a bit like those discount rug stores you see advertised on the highway where the sale seems to run 365 days a year. And anyway, $681 for Luminar Neo is like the punchline to the worst joke you've ever heard. That $189 gets me 1 year of updates, and I suppose I could buy it and never update it after that. But let's be real, it's a pseudo description deal underwritten by designed obsolescence. And again, here in Australia, my Adobe package, which gets me Lightroom Classic, Lightroom CC, Lightroom Mobile, and Photoshop, costs me $191 Australian dollars per year. If you travelled through an infinite number of parallel dimensions until the heat death of the universe, you still wouldn't find a single dimension in which that Luminar Neo price was justifiable in comparison to Adobe's. But I said there were two big problems, and the second one is the poor quality of the extended features in this app. Skylum have been pushing AI in photo editors ever since they shifted from the original Luminar in 2016 to the short-lived Luminar AI in 2020, the stepping stone that eventually led to Luminar Neo in 2022. And in all that time, most of the AI features in Luminar Neo have been more disappointing than opening your first payslip and realizing you somehow took home less than the government. Some stuff, such as dust spot and power line removal, and the Enhanced AI and Structure AI sliders work well. And Enhanced AI in particular is like a combination of the Clear View and Smart Lighting sliders in Photolab. But the generative stuff is absolute bollocks. Trash tools producing trash results. That trio of Gen tools stands out among the worst I've ever used in any photo editor, up there with the staggeringly awful Topaz Photo AI. The AI denoise and sharpen are slightly better than the generative tools, but not by much. If it was prize day at junior school, they'd only be getting the participation award just for showing up. The AI masking is an embarrassment. Like someone with the biggest fucking highlighter pen in the world tried to colour between the lines in a preschool drawing book. And on the edit screen are a heap of cheesy gimmicks such as artificial sun flares and neon glows that can make a novelty Christmas card look cheap. And yet, there are the bones of a great app lurking in there if only Skylum would either take the AI seriously or fuck it off completely. The raw tools in that Develop tab are beautifully weighted with a pleasing fall-off on the important sliders that makes tweaking an edit a fast and pleasing process. The Panorama and HDR merge tools are greatly improved and very usable now. The asset management is missing some important features, such as keywords, but it's fast and flexible, and capable of managing very large photo libraries. In the end, Luminar Neo is like that mate who swears they've changed after one mindfulness retreat and a turmeric latte, yet they still turn up late, forget their wallet, and then puke on your girlfriend in the cab on the way home. There is genuine progress buried under depressingly sketchy features and military-grade wishful thinking, but you'll wade through so much half-assed AI shite that you'll begin to question your own place in the universe. Use the good bits, ignore the fever dream church newsletter grade gimmicks, and remind yourself that hope springs eternal. Usually right before you close the app, make a cup of tea and go back to Lightroom like the warmed down but wiser adult you've now become. And that'll do us for this depressing look at the full edition of Luminar Neo from Skylum. Do you own this app? Have you been eyeing it up as a possible replacement for something like Lightroom? Don't do it. Do let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you got value from it, consider subscribing to my little channel for more photo, video and drone related content. from me. Till the next time, guys. Ta-ta.